Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew Studio. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WRESTLE at BlueChew.com.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but me.
There's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there.
Say something about
I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle
Something
with.
to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with. Bruce Prichard. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle With. Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm cold. How are you? It's summertime, isn't it?
It's not cold down here. We're in the 80s.
Man, it's cold up here. It's like cold. I wake up, it's like 49 degrees, and I had the air conditioner on when I went to bed last night, and I get up this morning and it's 60 degrees, which is nice, but it's cold. I'm cold. I'm old and I'm cold.
I'll tell you what was not cold. That Puerto Rico crowd. My goodness, Bruce. Bravo.
Muy caliente.
No, we don't talk about current stuff, but I just want to give you your flowers. I thought the show over the weekend, Backlash, was absolutely fantastic. Man, that crowd was something else. How about that pop for Carlito? What a fun show.
Es muy caliente.
It was. And hey, we're hoping for a fun show today. Of course, we're coming to you a little later. As you might imagine, Bruce has been busier than a one-arm paper hanger, but hey, better late than never.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, it would be tough. Let's just talk about it. Today, we're coming off of one of the worst WrestleManias in history, WrestleMania 13. We'll be talking about the fallout from that show as we build
Was that the
towards.
worst WrestleMania ever?
Well, it got fewer buys than uncensored. So just, maybe not the best WrestleMania. I think everybody agrees 14 really turned that whole thing around. I love a couple of matches on 13. My favorite match of all time is on 13. You thought 13 was one of the better WrestleManias?
I don't know. It's kind of after 39 of them. It's kind of hard to choose what is good and what isn't. And I still, I will still say that it holds true that WrestleMania 17 is probably the best of all time. But yeah, it's hard to tell. Yeah, you got some good ones, got some bad ones, got some in between. But after, when you do that many of them, after a while, it kind of, I think, is all in the eye of the beholder.
Sure. Well, the eyes of the beholders that were holding the Wrestling Observer said this was not the best one.
Yeah,
And
then consider your source.
of course, in my opinion, one of the greatest matches of all time is on that card, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. But either way, we've got a lot of moving parts for this WrestleMania. You and I have talked about, what was supposed to happen, what might have happened, what you would have liked to have happened. Now we know what did happen, and we're going to just, play it as it comes. Shawn Michaels has forfeited his title. He lost his smile, and we had to come up with a new plan. So we do the final four pay-per-view instead of determining a true number one contender after the controversy from the 97 Royal Rumble. Now we're going to crown a champion. It's Bret Hart. He loses it the very next night on Raw to Sid, and we set up Sid versus The Undertaker, and we set up Bret versus Austin. It becomes a submission match because we want to try to be inclusive of our new special guest referee, Ken Shamrock. But on the heels of that, now we've done a double turn. Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was clearly a heel, is now a babyface. And Bret Hart, who's one of the most beloved world champions in history, is now a heel. Is that still, all these years later, maybe the best example of a double turn?
That's a damn good one, that's for sure, because you had, and Steve, it wasn't all in one night, man. That's where people get lost on translation. When Steve came back from his injury and really got the Stone Cold gimmick rolling, Steve had just this groundswell of support that the audience wanted Steve to be their guy so bad. And we waited and waited and waited, and they had already turned Steve. But it was, if anything, it was really the turning of Bret Hart and the solidifying of the crybaby Bret at that point, because it was, I think Bret felt both personally and character-wise that, well, the audience just turned on him for this, foul-mouthed, loud-mouthed, Texan that should be jeered, not cheered. And Bret, that kind of confused Bret. Again, the character and the human being a little bit, but I don't know that Stone Cold could have turned without Bret Hart. And Bret did a magnificent job of helping to make, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Both guys, I think that those were some of the greatest matches ever, Bret and Steve. And it takes two to tango there. And holy cow, man, that's, as you say, that's some memorable, good stuff.
So listen, we know Steve being a babyface is going to work out. He's going to become one of the, if not the biggest merch seller of all time. I mean, what a role he's going to be on from that perspective. But I'm curious, was that something that Bret was nervous about or concerned about? The merch money perhaps disappearing. I mean, here's this beloved figure, and I know that you guys have this idea, or maybe we should talk about that. Did you have the idea of he's going to be a heel here, he's going to be a babyface the rest of the world? That wouldn't slow down his international merch, or was that even the plan going in?
No, that's really not in the discussion at that point. I don't know that Bret's merchandise was so significant that you would look at that and go, oh my God, if we lose this. You look at what's best for business overall. And I think that is what was best for business overall. Steve's merch at that point had already exploded. So
right,
there's no problem there.
Did it seem like for the year prior, WrestleMania is not really going to be, normally it feels like WrestleMania, when you go back in time, it's the end of a year-long build. This is the culmination. This is the blow-off. This is the end of this mega feud. But man, we're having to switch gears awfully fast here. I mean, Undertaker and Sid have like a 3 or 4 week build is all. Austin and Bret had certainly been getting started, since before Survivor Series. We'll go back to the fall of the prior year. But we're also now injecting Ken Shamrock in there. Did it feel like a different WrestleMania, or was it business as usual? You just had a funky situation with the title.
We had a funky situation, and it was, I don't know that it was necessarily what we wanted across the board. So, you're changing things up and you're trying to make things work and not having as much time as I think ordinarily we would have loved to have had. So yeah, man, you're kind of changing things up and you're hoping that they work. And different people look at WrestleMania in different ways. Some people look at it as the end. Some people look at it as the beginning.
Right.
So there's a lot of both. Try to have that variety where you're not just ending stories, but you're starting new ones. And that's that fine line that you have to walk to make sure that, all right, you're going to build something up for the big climax. And we also have to build something up for the first one where you want to see a lot more of that going further. So it's a catch-22.
The night after WrestleMania 13, Raw is a sellout. And we know that, I shouldn't say we know, a lot of fans, myself included, consider the night after WrestleMania 14 to be the first crazy Monday after WrestleMania. But here you are after WrestleMania 13 selling out there as well. How much of that is, just timing? How much of it is the change of the format? If you're watching over on YouTube, Raw in this era started to be presented as Raw is War. So we had sort of the 2-hour breakup and just a totally different presentation. As I understand it, there was a new video package that was done by Sahadi, and the whole vibe and feel changed. Is that maybe where you sort of mark, hey, this is where business changed for us when we changed our approach to Monday Night Raw?
Well, I think that we had changed the approach to Raw prior to that. It may have been a new
Yes.
opening and everything, but it had already been changed. We had already started to make it a little bit edgier of a product. And now you're all in. And it was after WrestleMania, as I said, which is kind of a new beginning for everything. So it looks like, all right, hey, there's a new open, there's a new feel, there's an energy overall. And especially, we're around the Chicago area, which has always been a great market for us. And, I just think things were hot in that regard.
One of the other things that's going to get hot is the Hart Foundation in 1997. But before we get there, it looks like it's going to break up before it ever has an opportunity. The WWF Tag Team Champions, Owen Hart and British Bulldog, are going to be wrestling against the Headbangers the night after WrestleMania. And it's been building tension here for a little bit, but it finally boils over, and they set up a European title match for the next week. And, man, that was some fun stuff. I loved watching these guys do their thing. And then we get a 22-minute angle with Bret Hart coming out and continuing his heel turn. And this is probably one of the more important interviews of Bret's career. He's going to talk about how he's been this hero in Germany and Europe and South Africa and Canada, but then start running down Americans for liking guys and cheering guys like Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin. That's a mixed response at first, but eventually fans are with it. They start chanting Austin. And he points out that Americans cheer people like Charles Manson and O.J. Simpson, and they glamorize criminals, and tells American fans to kiss his ass. And this is a pretty big-time heel turn, and the most comparable one would maybe be the more shocking one of Hulk Hogan turning heel over in WCW. How important was this promo to cement this new direction for the Bret Hart character at this point?
Well, I think that it helped allow Bret the opportunity to express why he felt the way he felt. And there's nothing that Bret said that wasn't true. Everything Bret said was true. And it was, I think, as people look at our country a lot of times, that's what they see. You look at it, you go, wait a minute, man, when did we become a country that we, can bash our president? When did we become a country that we were no longer patriotic and we didn't, get behind what the country was about at the time? And the country had lost its way. So I think that Bret could pick on that and look at that and point out things where you celebrate a man like Charles Manson, who got people to murder innocent people for no reason other than to murder them. You have people like O.J. Simpson that you're fascinated with for the reason that he allegedly killed his wife. And you make him a hero. You put him on a pedestal. And then you have a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's putting Steve Austin in that same category. And the audience is like, no, man, Steve isn't there. Steve's the guy that stands up for himself. And Steve's the guy that, is a badass. Didn't quit, Bret, right. That kind of shit. And there were just nuggets of truth all throughout Bret's promo that made people think about it and get angry about it, because they sat there and said, well, yeah, I tune in to see what's happening with the OJ trial. Yeah, I tune in to see what's happening with things that are atrocious going on in our country. And that was that intriguing time where the negative was the celebrity of it all. And we were making celebrity of just really horrible people in our culture and in our time.
All right, folks, it's time for spring break and spring cleaning for a lot of us. That means cleaning out the garage, cleaning out the attic, cleaning out the junk drawer in the kitchen. But maybe my favorite is cleaning out the bathroom. I'm excited that I was able to throw out all of my old deodorant. I've been rocking Mando whole body deodorant for a while, and I'm never switching back. Mando whole body deodorant is an absolute game changer. From the founders of Lumi, your wife's probably tried that. Mando whole body deodorant is helping men conquer their odor in a new way. And when I say a new way, how about this? It's safe to use anywhere on your body.
especially when you start to get hot and sweaty outside in this humid weather we're getting going in the South right now. You can use Mando on your ball bag and on your thigh folds, your belly button, your butt crack, your feet, your armpits. Mando wants to get rid of this problem. And what they understood was that normal BO was just being misdiagnosed and mistreated. But Mando is clinically proven to block odor, and it does it all day, even for up to 72 hours. You can get Mando in a couple of different forms. You got the spray deodorant, which is aluminum free and ideal for those hard to reach places. But you've also got solid stick deodorant, formulated and powered by mandelic acid. That helps you stop the odor before it even starts. All the products are baking soda free, they're paraben free, and they're clinically proven to control odor better than just to shower with soap alone. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than Old Spice. You see, some men mask their BO with scents, but Mando men get the job done right. So don't mask it, Mando it. Available now in retailers near you, or head on over to shopmando.com, because for a limited time, new customers can get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Just use the code STW at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. With deodorant plus sweat control, say goodbye to sweat stains and say hello to long-lasting freshness.
They're going to have a conversation here. Shawn Michaels is going to come out and say that, Brett's a mark man for taking his accomplishments in wrestling too seriously, and the fans have a right to cheer or boo as they please. And I wasn't upset when they booed me. Maybe that's not true. And then he eventually challenges Bret Hart to a America love it or leave it match. He's saying you need to love it or leave it, but it's clear that they're setting up some sort of a new match. And this is on the heels of the WrestleMania that a lot of people thought would have been a rematch from WrestleMania 12. Of course, we know it doesn't happen, but man, they're really going back and forth here. Bret talking about Shawn posing in girly magazines, and then eventually Sid comes out. Bret's going to ease out of there, take a powder, but in the process, he's going to flip Sid off. So we're getting a little edgy. Even right before WrestleMania, we saw this edgier side of Bret Hart, where he pushed down Vince McMahon and said frustrated isn't the goddamn word for it. You never heard that type of stuff on Raw before. So we're getting a little edgier, but it seems like we're jumping right back in to Shawn versus Bret. And I'm curious from your perspective, how frustrating was that you wanted that match the night before, but it seems like we're going to try to set it up right after for maybe a less than WrestleMania pay-per-view?
Well, I think that any time that you have an idea and you have a plan that's laid out that you have in your head, it's already played out in your head. You know how you want every beat to happen, where and when, and something happens along the way for whatever reason that you can't do it. So that's always frustrating. That's always frustrating to have to change up and go back to the drawing board when you're looking at here's what never happened. Here's what just couldn't happen for whatever reason. Doesn't matter the reason. It's a frustration. Yes, it definitely is, because you're feeling like, damn it, man, this you'll never know.
Right.
That's it. You'll just never know.
It's a fun time because we're seeing Bret all over the place. He's clearly got issues with Sid. He's got issues with Shawn. He's got issues with Austin. And later in this same episode, we're going to see him attack Rocky Maivia after a match with Leif Cassidy. Of course, we know Leif Cassidy's Al Snow. And
what?
What'd he ever do?
Leif Cassidy was one of the rockers. He was a new rocker.
The idea, though, is, I guess, we firmly cement that Bret is a bad guy when he has issues with Shawn and he has issues with Austin. But when he's facing a guy like Rocky Maivia, who really has not connected with the audience, we're trying maybe to, okay, clearly you need to cheer The Rock here, or cheer Rocky, because look, he's against this bad guy. So that match almost feels like it's just as much to cement, hey, please like Rocky, as it is, please hate Bret, right?
Nah, I think it was more please hate Brett. And by this point, yeah, the Rocky Maivia experiment was still taking place. And Brett, from Brett's point of view, Brett wanted to work with Rock. And Brett wanted to work with him and thought that he could get him to be that baby face on the other side. Unfortunately, that never came to fruition.
Somehow, some way, the title is not really in the discussion for all that Brett and Sean and Austin and Sid are doing. Now we're headed towards Undertaker, Paul Bearer, and Mankind. That's going to really be what the main event program is all about for the world title. And Paul Bearer is attempting to make up with the Undertaker now that he's the champion, and Mankind is begging Uncle Paul not to. And a week later, Mankind even throws fire in the Undertaker's face when he's going to attack Paul. Listen, clearly these guys just had magic together in 1996, but from your perspective, why was Mankind the right perfect opponent or first opponent for a now champion Undertaker?
Well, it was something new. And, here you had a new champion, but you also had a brand new, I don't want to say monster, but yeah, you had a new monster in Mankind. This was a brand new character, and this was someone that, was coming in, and you bring them in on top, and they're a top guy.
Right.
That was the idea with Mick. And by bringing Mankind in at the time, it made sense. You have a new champion, and now you have a brand new challenger that before he even, does one thing, you believe that he is a formidable challenger to the Undertaker.
Well, he had multiple victories over Taker the prior year, so that makes sense.
Well, it does, but at the same time, it's like you're looking at it, and it's still new. It's still fresh because you have a championship involved. So it's, Mick's, he was still on his honeymoon, my opinion. He was still in his honeymoon.
Well said. So one thing I wanted to ask though is, as they're getting paired together here, Undertaker and Mankind, did you already have the Kane story in mind? We'll call it
No.
April of '97.
No.
Okay.
It was here where the beginning of Kane started to take root, because we were looking at opponents for the Undertaker as a champion.
Right.
By the time we got there, things had changed and everything, but you're looking at, okay, you've switched Brett, Undertaker's your guy right now. Who's going to be that next opponent? And we were really looking for a one-off with Kane, but you were looking for opponents, again, new and different, for the Undertaker. So this is kind of where, I started, well, what if?
Well, we saw plenty, and I mean plenty, of Mankind Undertaker, and boy, they were fantastic matches the prior year. The Boiler Room Brawl, of course, where we saw the turn, and then, of course, the Buried Alive match. I mean, the stakes just continually raised. Now the title's going to be on the line, but I don't think that was maybe the original plan, because there was some preliminary promotional material out that showed Vader versus Undertaker. The story at the time in the newsletters was that maybe Vader's knee wasn't doing all that great. They weren't sure that he would be reliable in that spot. And I find that interesting, because you go back just the night before at WrestleMania, Undertaker and Vader are a tag team, seemingly because, well, we didn't have anything else for them to do, so we'll just make them a tag team here. Was Vader ever considered, and do you think this could have been maybe the second chance he never got? I mean, we know what was supposed to happen after SummerSlam 96. In theory, there would have been a trilogy. We would have gotten another match at Survivor Series and then blown it off at Royal Rumble with Shawn. When that doesn't happen, and now he doesn't get the nod here, it feels like it's kind of all downhill from Vader after this.
Well, also go back and look at Vader. This was also during a time that Vader had put on an awful lot of weight. And, people romanticize about Vader when he was in Japan and would just go in and beat people up. I don't think anybody ever accused Vader of being a great worker. He was a bully that liked to beat people up. And they let him get away with it. But, you go back and look at his Japan stuff. That's what he did. by the time he got to WWE, he was a shell of that guy, that character. Long from the time that the incident with Paul Orndorff happened in WCW, and Vader left, and Orndorff, allegedly kicked his ass in flip-flops. Vader was not the Leon White, the confidence of Leon White, and all of that. That ship had sailed, and in many ways, I think we got damaged goods in that regard, because you didn't get the guy that you'd seen for years. No, you got a guy that got his ass whipped in the shower by somebody in flip-flops. It's no shame to get your ass whipped by Paul Orndorff.
No.
Okay.
No.
But I think when you're supposed to be the tough guy and the bully, I think there was shame in that for him. And people romanticize, oh, Vader this. Vader, man, didn't come as Vader when he came in. He was a shell of that guy and never could get his groove back. But by this time, he had put weight on. His knees were bothering him. He was breaking down. And all of a sudden he realized that, oh shit, it's a little different thing when you've got guys as big as you and they're hitting back. It's really easy when you just go in and bombard people and they're not hitting you back. All of a sudden you get in there and you think Undertaker's going to take that? Nah. He was younger, stronger, faster. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and just get pounded on. So it was different. And you didn't have this facade that had followed him around his career.
Well, I'm a huge Vader fan, so I got to ask for clarification here. In your opinion, are you saying that your opinion on Vader or the office's opinion, the perception of Vader had changed on the heels of the Orndorff thing?
No, I'm saying Vader changed. I'm saying the human being changed. The human being changed. He didn't have the same swagger. He didn't, there was the fairy tale that he's this big, bad, tough guy that, couldn't be beat or beat up. And he did. He got beat up. So that changes the perception of people. Now people are looking at him going, he's not so tough after all, is he?
Well, that's what I'm trying to drill down on, because you're saying he changed, but you didn't know him before, did you? Or you just knew what you saw on tape?
You knew what you had seen, and you knew what other people that did know him.
Right.
But yeah, you knew what you saw, and then you saw what you got.
Right.
Something changed. And the only thing that I know that changed was that I know he put on weight.
Right.
I know he was sloppy. I know he had bad hygiene.
Golly, are we just?
I know.
Just Vader?
No. You asked. So what changed? What changed was he didn't have the same swagger. He didn't have the same confidence. He put on a lot of weight, so he couldn't be as athletic as he had been before. He couldn't do that shit anymore. No, don't do that, Leon. No, he couldn't. And don't get me wrong, because I really fucking like Leon White. I like Leon a lot. But it was that persona, man. It's like you see something, you watch it in another environment. You think, oh my God, that would be so cool to have here. You bring it to this new environment where you think it'll fit in, and sometimes it just doesn't fit. And Leon didn't fit. It wasn't the same guy. Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrow. I saw Johnny B. Bad. Johnny B. Bad was attractive as shit. Johnny B. Bad had charisma and personality and all this other stuff. You take Johnny B. Bad, the same human being, with that same charisma, you thought, and you brought him over here. You gave him, unfortunately, his real name and in a wild man gimmick that he thought that's how he saw himself, and nobody gave a shit because he didn't have the Johnny B. Bad persona to hide behind anymore. It was easy to become Johnny B. Bad. It wasn't easy to be Mark Merrill on TV.
Man, even the phrasing there, it's easy to hide behind Mark Merrow. Do you think?
Oh, dude, I hid behind Brother Love. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Easy to go out and be Brother Love.
Right.
I didn't have to be Bruce. Man, I hid behind, fuck yes. When you have a gimmick like that, man, it's easy to hide behind that gimmick. But I became the gimmick. Mark, as Johnny B. Bad, oh my God, entertaining as hell. Great. I don't know if his work was that great, but the charisma, the character, the way that he portrayed it was great. It allowed him to step into a character. And that's what I mean. I was allowed to step into Brother Love and hide behind Brother Love. I could do things as Brother Love I couldn't do as Bruce.
Right.
I had a confidence in Brother Love that I didn't have the same confidence in Bruce. I do. It's just different.
Right. No, I get it, because, when you're putting your real self out there, you start to second guess things.
You're vulnerable. Yes.
Yes. Because you're not, that's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the gimmick is the gimmick. You can hide behind the gimmick. That's a good thing for a lot of performers.
Do you think he felt more like Leon here in the WWE and less like Vader?
I believe that Leon felt exposed. I think Leon felt exposed once the Orndorff thing happened.
Right.
Like, maybe I'm not as tough as I wanted everybody to think. Now they know.
Right.
All my peers watched it happen. Those are the guys that I was trying to fool.
Right.
The audience never saw that.
Right.
But they sure witnessed a change after the fact. They knew something was different. Something was wrong. He wasn't the same. They couldn't put their finger on it because they didn't know what had happened. It's like Ric Flair. Rick lost his confidence in WCW. Rick wasn't the same person. Took a long time before Rick got that swagger back. But he did.
All right, fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up. Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt gold plated energy. Blue Chew Golds is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. But this ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue, and it works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. Peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. If your bed could talk after this, it'd be asking for a break. Make your life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WRESTLE. That's promo code WRESTLE. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast.
Ahmed Johnson and Farouk are now in an angle where Ahmed is going to challenge a new member of the Nation of Domination to a match. And if he wins, they have to disband. But Farouk is unable to get cleared, so the match is scrapped. This is still fallout from the awesome story they've been telling that goes back, man, long before the Nation was even here. Farouk and Ahmed Johnson are just mortal enemies here. Were there plans this early in 97 to break up the Nation, as we would see later on with the split that's going to come in the year, or were you just taking it week by week and seeing how it went?
No, actually, early on, the idea for the Nation was to give Ron Simmons a platform for Ron to break out and hopefully be that babyface down the road. When, obviously that didn't happen, it became, okay, when Rock joined and Rock grabbed that microphone, then that became the platform for Rock to break out and be that leader and kind of kick Farouk to the curb. And, I don't know that the plans were then as big for Ron to be that big baby face, but I think things worked out all right for Ron Simmons.
I think it worked out okay.
Yeah. Damn.
Rocky Maivia, he did all right too, I guess, in hindsight.
Yeah, I think so. He found his way.
So the next day, we're going to tape an episode of Monday Night Raw, or Raw as War as it was. And there's going to be a fantastic wrestling match going on here with the Bulldog and Owen Hart over the European title. Now, remember, they're the tag champs, but they've not been clicking. And all of a sudden, Brett's going to interrupt this very good match. And we're going to have a conversation about how we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be sticking together. This is how we reform the Hart Foundation angle. Did Brett like that idea? How was Owen with that? How was Bulldog with that? Just this Hart Foundation tag team from way back when with Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart was an iconic, classic WWF tag team. But sometimes guys are ready to move on. And now it seems like we're going back to an old idea, but with a new twist. Now it's a heel faction, not just a tag team. How receptive was everyone to that idea?
Very. It was family. So here was an opportunity of everybody. Brett wanted to work with Owen. He wanted to side by side with Owen. This was his opportunity, and this was family, and this was real. So you could feel it. People could go look and go, yeah, it is. It's family. Davey's married to Diana. Jim and Ellie. Everybody was family. It worked. So you had brothers and brother-in-laws all together and fighting together. And families fight. But by God, when one member of the family's down, usually the other family members come to their aid. And this is a perfect example of that.
A really great job again by Brett. I think when you take a look at Brett's entire career, some of his best mic work, it feels like 1997 was just his year. So the prior week when he's explaining, how, I don't know, he's just not a fan of Americans. Now he's coming out this week and he's patching things up with a guy who's been his enemy for a long time, his own brother, Owen. And as he runs down their past, you can see Owen wiping away tears. Really a great segment. He's blaming the Americans for tearing their family apart. And really, we're the only two good wrestlers in our family, which was a nice little jab for everybody sitting at home. Just fantastic stuff here. It feels as if Brett has really embraced this. Because I understand from time to time, maybe there's creative that talent aren't totally on board with. It feels like Brett is fully invested in this because I think we're getting Brett at his best on the mic. Would you agree?
You were, because he was legitimately reuniting with his family. And to be able to have them all together and, look at the atmosphere. Sean and his buddies and all that. And now, he had his family around him.
Yes.
In front of the camera, behind the camera, and everything in between. So it was real to Brett. And all the best angles and all the best stories are when they have that reality within. There's that string of reality that's spread through everything they do. And that's the best kind.
It's a fascinating time in the company because we're trying a lot of new Attitude Era stuff. We have the Raw is War approach. We've got an edgier Shawn Michaels. We got Brett cursing on TV, throwing around the middle finger. Of course, we know what's happening with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Austin 316, or just the evolution of that character. So it feels like a step way forward. And then the Honky Tonk Man comes out.
He's the Intercontinental Champion of all time.
That's exactly right. And he's here to find the next great Intercontinental Champion. And he's going to begin his search with Jesse James. Honky hands him his family heirloom, a guitar, obviously, and James responds with smashing it on the mat. We're months away from the Outlaws. We're going to still, unfortunately, tinker and try a little bit. We've seen Rockabilly. Now we're trying this with the Road Dogg, Jesse James. This is, listen, we're filling segments, we're checking boxes, but just seeing Honky Tonk Man on TV in this era, although he had white hot heat and a great character, it felt like something from a generation before compared to the new direction. Is that fair to say?
Sure. Absolutely. Hey, is there a way we can put Silva on camera on this thing?
Yeah, Silva can show
so can you do the Honky Tonk Man dance real quick for me? Okay, get off camera. Please get off. That was incorrect, and get off camera. I'm sorry I did that, folks. I apologize. I should not have done that. That was Conrad right now is writing apology letters to all of our listeners and all the folks that unfortunately had to see that.
Do not, whatever you do not go look at that at somethingtowrestle.com. That's our YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
All the things you want to see today. You don't want to see Dave Silva dancing. That's
He
not
did it the wrong way. The thumbs have to go the different ways.
You couldn't see his thumbs.
His thumb, all he did was go.
Well, he's got those little T-Rex arms. So it's not his fault.
But I watched, what's that thing that he did at your
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've seen him do that.
He simulates motion there. He's not actually dancing. He's just simulating motion.
He stands there and just like moves.
He moves his arms around.
His arms and the whole rest of the body jiggles and moves.
When you ask Silva to dance, only his arms move.
Okay.
That's the thing. So there's a lot of Ken Shamrock footage that's going to start airing on Monday Night Raw with footage from the UFC. And this is kind of cool. This is long before our 2023 news, and you're able to show UFC footage. But I guess at this era, man, they're still a ship with no sail. They're losing cash left and right. But it does add some legitimacy to the character that Ken Shamrock is going to be bringing in with him. Was the UFC easy to deal with, as best you recall, here back in 1997?
The original owners, God, I can't remember his name.
Firewitz?
Yes, was a friend. So he was fine. Look, Ken wasn't under contract. Ken wanted to do this. Marwitz liked Ken, and Ken had done an awful lot in UFC, and they recognized that. They, knew us. They were cool, and we were able to work together. We had our moments sometimes, right, that I would get calls from Mr. Meyerowitz using that F word an awful lot, and I'd go, "What are you talking about?" Most of the time. But it would be things that I had a relationship with Oleg Tokhtarov, and I would always talk to Don Fry. Those guys were still involved in UFC, so the impression was that, oh, hey, you're trying to steal them. It's like, I'm not trying to steal them now. I'm just saying when they're done, they've got a place to come to.
Right.
And that was it.
Well, somebody who was excited to be on TV in this era is Mr. Pat Patterson. Goldust is wrestling Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And Pat Patterson, who's 57 here, is going to have a comeback fury when Triple H throws him down. And Meltzer would say it was actually better than what Flair was doing at the same time on the other channel. And China ends up attacking Patterson from behind, and the two just stomp the hell out of him until Goldust makes the save. I'm sure the old vet that he was, Pat loved every minute of being involved in the physicality on the show, didn't he?
Absolutely. And proved and showed that, as long as you work, you can, and you're a great worker, you can always work.
Speaking of great workers, we're going to have a conversation now about you talking to a couple of great workers. This is directly from the Observer. Based on several different versions of the same story, Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard had a meeting on the Tuesday before Mania with Kurt and Larry Hennig. According to the version of the Hennings that we're telling on Nitro the next week, or at Nitro the next week, McMahon and Prichard were 1 hour late, so they were just about ready to walk out when they came in. The sides were talking about a return to the WWF, and the Hennings pulled out the letter Prichard wrote to Lloyd's of London, which resulted in London not paying Hennig his reported $350,000 lump sum disability deal. It was basically a deal where Hennig was talking to the WWF about returning at the same time the WWF needed to get the legal situation straightened out with Lloyd's as to what their situation was, and it wound up as the blow up, which ended with Hennig walking out and agreeing to go to WCW. The meeting really didn't go positively for the WWF although the idea at that point was made clear the two sides weren't going to be doing any business. There was talk all week of potentially Hitting coming back. Hitting claimed at Nitro that Prichard backpedaled from the point they pulled out the letter with his signature and claimed he knew nothing about it. But WCW was afraid as late as Mania that he was going to stick with the WWF. And of course, WCW put Larry Hennig on TV specifically to show Titan that they had Kurt. So listen, there's a lot that's been discussed over the years. We've talked a little bit about the Mr. Perfect hokey pokey here at the end of 96 and he wants to leave and blah, blah, blah. What I had never heard was you were somehow in the middle of all this Lloyd's of London stuff. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it was in order to get Kurt cleared. And you had to have a release from Lloyd's of London. So Kurt was like, no, I've got the release. Kurt never produced the release. So we'll ask Lloyd's of London, which is exactly what we did. Well, when we asked for Lloyd's of London, that opened up that, wait a minute, we paid you all this money and now you're going to go back to do what you say you couldn't do, which is why we paid you the money. That's all it was.
Right.
And they were like, you killed our Lloyd's of London deal. Kurt, you told me to ask them ourselves. And the best part about it is it's true. I really didn't know that they had sent a letter. I believe it was Linda's office. It said it. This was the interim time that I was the talent relations head. Okay.
So JJ's fresh.
I literally just stepped in and was sign this, and I did. But I knew about it. I knew about contacting Lloyd's of London for the permission to say that, yes, he is cleared and that he can do this because we had notice from Lloyd's of London that he could not. So that's all that was. And I think that Kurt was looking at it like all of a sudden he was going to have to pay that money back because Lloyd's of London was now aware. They weren't always aware of what was going on. You could collect and they go, okay, we paid him off, and not know that the guy was back, wrestling or playing football or whatever else that they may be insured for. The one guy, which I've always said, which always fascinated me, the one guy that probably legitimately could have done a claim with Lloyd's of London and never cashed in was Flair.
Right.
And just always fascinated me. But no, that's what that was all about.
So help me understand. We've heard a lot about Lloyd's of London as wrestling fans all these years. Are you suggesting that guys would go back and wrestle on TV and the company wouldn't notice or say anything, and they were just trying to ask forgiveness rather than permission?
Well, they did.
Okay. I'm
not suggesting. I'm saying that some guys did.
Like you've told us the fun little workaround that Animal somehow convinced them of.
Right.
That, well, if you're wrestling in a tag match,
right,
that's different. I can't wrestle a singles match. I'm too hurt.
But if I do work a singles match, I still have a tag team partner. So that's okay.
My goodness.
Kurt cashed in 3 times, I believe, 2 or 3 times, at least twice, for definitely sure. I think it may have been 3 times.
So I understand it. That 350 is not you're going to get it every year in perpetuity. You get it one time.
I believe it's a one-time payoff. I'm not going to say for sure. I don't know.
That feels really short-sighted. I mean, you could have earned that in a year of wrestling. Like, goodness gracious.
All right, man. A lot of us right now, we've got longer days. It's starting to get darker later, which I'm all for, but it does feel like it's a longer day. So I wind up coming home later. And that means for a lot of us, hey, it's dinner time and we did not properly plan. Well, Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without the planning or the cooking. Here's what you're going to love about Factor: quality functional ingredients like lean proteins and colorful veggies and whole food ingredients with healthy fats. What you won't find are refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners either. As a matter of fact, there's no refined seed oils. These are meals that are designed to help you meet your goals and your schedule. Like if you're looking for healthier eating or calorie management or more protein, Factor can hook you up. There's over 100 different rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious through the winter. You've got options like high protein and calorie smart and Mediterranean. They've even got a GLP-1 support. Plus, you've got ready to eat salads. They've even got a brand new Muscle Pro collection that supports strength and recovery. Factor's always fresh. It's never frozen. It's ready in about 2 minutes, and there's no prep and no stress. Head on over to factormeals.com/wrestle50off and use the code wrestle50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box or one per year while subscription is active. That's factormeals.com/wrestle50off.
Well, we know he winds up leaving. The other thing I wanted to ask about, was it your experience that Kurt always handled his business with his dad? Because we've heard that a few times, that Larry and Kurt would come together.
No, not for this one time.
Okay.
To my knowledge, anyway.
Okay.
You might have. And, and the sad thing is, because you had a great relationship with Kurt. And, even after this, had a good relationship with Kurt. It's just, it was sad that, that it got nasty, for a little while. And when I say got nasty, that they had ill feelings.
Right.
Larry, man, always got along with Larry. I thought he was a great guy too. And this was just a complete, business disagreement where, okay, I want to come back, have to have the clearance from Lloyd's, ask for the clearance from Lloyd's. Why would you ask for the clearance from Lloyd's? Well, because you told me that you couldn't get it, that we needed to ask for it. And, next. So, but this was the only time in my history that I ever dealt with Larry.
Let's talk about Dr. Death, Steve Williams. He's going to get arrested in Japan. He has marijuana, which is a big no-no over there. And it's reported that because of this arrest, you guys were pulling back a contract offer. You had to bring him in. We know he does come in, but it takes a year later. He comes in early 98. Was he supposed to come in 97?
We were definitely talking to Steve during this time. I don't know that there was ever an offer made that was pulled back, but I do know that we were talking to Steve during that time. And before anything did get official, this incident happened in Japan. So next.
Let's talk about that. We know the attitude for marijuana has changed as a whole from then to now.
In the world.
Yes, all over. But back in 1997, and maybe even now, I believe now marijuana is still a big deal over there, but it's not here, at least domestically in America. And I'm curious from your perspective, was it a big deal from the WWF, or was it more of, hey, he's got a legal issue and that's bad press for us?
He had a legal issue, and it was potentially an international narcotic issue.
Right. Not good.
So, yeah, not good.
Dale Wilkes.
I mean, that issue could have prevented him from going otherwhere internationally. So,
I see.
Yeah.
So it's a function of, if we bring him in, we might be handicapped because we couldn't do tours here or there because he had an international drug charge. I understand.
Right. Especially Canada.
Right.
Wouldn't have happened.
Somehow, some way, Dale Wilkes is rumored to come in around this same time as well. Did you know at this point you had this anti-American thing? I mean, I know that Brett had cut that one promo on Raw, but this feels like almost immediate. Like once he says anything anti-American, oh, let's get the Patriot in here. You had met him down in Global, I believe. Tell us about how all that came together.
So I'd worked with Dell in Global, and I'd always wanted to bring him in because once Global had gone away, he wasn't, he left. He left right after I beat him in Global. No, he left Global, right after I got there. But we had been out a few times and talked a few times. I always enjoyed his work. I enjoyed his work when he was a state trooper for Vern. This guy was over in Japan. It was the same thing. The American audience hadn't really ever seen him. And with the exception of the Global Wrestling Federation, I don't know that he had ever had any national exposure at all. Hell of a worker, I thought. good guy, and wanted to bring him in, and we did. We had been talking to him and brought him up, and then the whole Americana sentiment with Brett, and that was just, it was easy. It was there. It was tailor made.
I think we're about a year away from Jim Cornette saying, I've had enough. It makes the Observer here in 1997 that he's going to be managing again soon. He was replaced by Raymond Rougeau on the Shotgun Challenge tapes because he had a real bad flu and had no voice. So they even did an angle where he's offering a contract to the Blackjacks, but they rip it up. And even though Jim is maybe the most prolific promo in wrestling history, he's having to just sort of act it out rather than be vocal because he has no voice. And Meltzer would speculate, what I expect to happen is Cornette will wind up managing a heel Furnace and LaFawn, who will then feud with the Blackjacks. And that mix doesn't sound like it's going to get either team over. Furnace and LaFawn at first were going to be managed by Bob Backlund, but Cornette is a lot better fit. Furnace and LaFawn and the Blackjacks are two of my great what ifs from this era. I thought the Blackjacks.
What if what?
Well, I loved Bradshaw and Wyndham, and I loved the look and two big badasses. It just felt like, man, this could be fun. And I've seen some tremendous Furnace and LaFawn matches. Unfortunately, not a lot of those in the WWF. Were both of those just doomed from the start? They just weren't a good fit for this presentation?
Furnace and LaFawn were not. They just didn't. I don't know that they. I think going to Japan, and I'll say because I had never seen LaFawn before he was in Japan, but I had seen Doug Furnace in Alabama. I knew Furnace could sell. I knew Furnace was a hell of a fucking worker. Oh my God, great worker. And I think Japan kind of ruined him. I think.
How so?
He lost the art of selling and storytelling.
I see.
He just did spots and big strongman stuff and didn't know how to sell at all. You know, when that's not the fact. The fact is that one of the things that I always thought that Doug Furnace was so good at was the fact that he could sell believably.
Yes.
And was one of those talent that, you know, you look at, go, oh my God, there's a jacked up Ricky Morton motherfucker that they could go. Doug didn't have a whole lot of personality, admittedly so, but I think that he made up with it for it in the ring. I was always a big fan of Doug Furnace. I just think that the tag team with LaFawn in Japan, everybody went gaga over him because they did all these spots, but it's not what we do. And unfortunately, you know, I was showing tapes of Doug Furnace in Alabama where he sold and was this working machine, and he came up here and he was fresh out of Japan and doing the Japan stuff.
Well, listen, I understand that sometimes you go with what you think has brought you to the dance. And so maybe he thought, hey, Japan has more stature. I'll do what I did over there. Maybe that's why they wanted me. But the thing that always stood out to me about Furnace and LaFawn is we have all these larger than life characters. We've got the Legion of Doom. We've got the Undertaker. We've got Mankind. We've got the Headbangers. We got the Blackjacks. So, and then it's like Furnace and LaFawn. Okay, they're not the Headbangers, and they're not the Dead Zombie, and they're not the whatever the androgynous. No, they're the wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt as if because they're the wrestlers, maybe it was doomed from the start. Do you think his gimmick is he's just a good wrestler ever really works in the WWF?
No, it doesn't. But I thought that if you could get him in the ring and he could show, again, Doug had a way of working that I thought he drew the audience in. And I think that, you know, Doug could have gotten to that point. And LaFawn, good looking guy, man, suave Frenchman. It just was, and they were so opposite, but yet, I don't know. I thought it could work, and obviously it didn't because they never connected with the audience.
if you could have put Furnace, I know you said LaFawn is a horse of a different color, but you obviously hold Doug Furnace in high regard. If you could have put him in another gimmick, was there another spot that you think could have worked that he could have embraced and maybe we could have got there? Or was it a matter of timing?
I think it was a matter of timing. I really do. I think it was just a matter of timing. And that's all it was.
All right. Lately, I've realized that when my energy dips or I feel off, it's usually hydration related, not sleep, not coffee, but hydration. And Drip Drop has become my go-to fix. Drip Drop is doctor developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Drip Drop is doctor developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better, which is exactly what 2026 you needs. Think about this: support for busy days or long workouts and everything in between. Drip Drop's got you covered. Drip Drop uses science-based formulas for rapid hydration, so you feel fast results while you're getting 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks. Drip Drop is trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of top college and pro sports teams because it's engineered to hydrate you faster and more effectively than water alone. It's perfect if your New Year's goals include better habits that you'll actually stick to. Hey, I want to mention Drip Drop just released Zero Sugar Plus. Now, this is a breakthrough formula with an advanced blend of 6 key electrolytes, 15 essential vitamins and nutrients, and no sugar or artificial sweeteners. It is the complete package that truly checks all the boxes and then some. And honestly, all of their products taste amazing. There's 16 original flavors and 8 Zero Sugar Plus options that fit seamlessly into our routine. I'm talking morning, pre-workout for my wife, post-workout, and even that midday slump that I've suffered from at the office before. But to make it easy, Drip Drop has flexible subscription options, so you're never stuck without proven fast hydration. Whether you're just hitting the gym or juggling work, or you're just trying to stay consistent with your January reset. Hey, right now, I want you to know Drip Drop is offering our listeners 20% off your first order. Just go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code Wrestle. That's dripdrop.com, and the promo code Wrestle gets you 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use the promo code Wrestle.
Let's talk about your boy, Gerald Briscoe. We talked about how Pat Patterson was getting physically involved with Triple H. Well, Mankind is going to put the mandible claw on Gerald Briscoe. This is a year before we're going to know them as quote-unquote stooges. They're probably both having a fun time as WWE officials getting involved in some physical angles, though, no?
Well, Gerald didn't like to have anything in his mouth.
All right. Sid is going to miss a Raw taping due to a back injury. And he's actually pulled from his scheduled match with Brett at the pay-per-view. So the original plan, well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because the guy drops the title at WrestleMania and then all of a sudden can't work. And this in the newsletter leads to a lot of speculation, much like it did with Sean and an injury. Were you guys always sort of holding your breath with Sid? Because it felt like, of all the words you could use to describe him, reliable would probably not be one of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you look at Sid, and if you were going to do the old Jim Herd thing, yeah, look at this guy, look at this guy. Sid had the tools. Sid had, man, he had the look. He's standing there. He looks like a Greek god and cut a hell of a promo. And by God, he could talk people into the building. Sid knew how to do that. And Sid looked the part. He could do enough in the ring. People believed in him. But, you know, Sid could oftentimes be his own worst enemy, and thinking that he knew better and that he understood a lot better and wanted to do things his way. And if he didn't get things done his way, a lot of times he would go on and do something else. So that was just Sid's MO, and got the reputation for softball season that all of a sudden he would have injuries that would pop up and you wouldn't hear from him. So, yeah, he wasn't all that reliable all the time.
Meltzer would say the story on Sid is he supposedly has a herniated disc in his back caused by straining his back working out at the gym. The reason it was handled so clumsily on the April 7th Raw is they literally didn't know about it as the show was going. And they didn't know if he was going to be there or not. Apparently, he left a message at the office over the weekend, but nobody was there. And since Raw was taped on a Sunday night, nobody knew. And he didn't think to call the building to let anyone know he was hurt. He finally talked to Vince.
Or call anyone's home numbers that he had.
Yeah. So you guys are just frustrated. This is just Sid being Sid.
Apparently, yes.
Billy Gunn is the next person to turn down the honky tonk man on the programming. There's rumor and speculation that this was supposed to be Disco Inferno. He had been recently released by WCW because he didn't want to lose to Jacqueline, or Miss Jackie as she was. And Vince Russo has said that you talked to Disco and you asked some questions to Disco. You didn't like Disco's answers and you shelved the idea. There's even an article that comes out in the magazine that basically says Disco Inferno is coming in. It doesn't happen. Do you remember having a conversation with Glenn Gilberti about coming in and it just didn't work?
I don't remember. Not to say that I didn't, but I don't remember that now.
That could have been interesting. A Disco Inferno character through the Attitude Era. I mean, obviously called him that, but
yeah, I mean, the thing about it is I like Disco's gimmick. I thought he was entertaining as hell.
Yeah,
he
made it work.
He did. He went out there. To me, he was always entertaining. Always seemed to be busting his ass. Like him or don't like him, you can't deny that he's entertaining.
Right.
And again, I've talked to him years since and all this stuff, and I have, no bad feelings at all to Disco. I always thought that this, again, this guy's going out and doing Disco and embracing it, and by God, he would go out there and he would get somebody over like nobody's business. So chances are I may have talked to him. I can't recall that conversation. It may not just have been, that. Yeah, I remember K-Dog's conversation. I don't remember Glenn's conversation, and I probably did, and but I have no idea.
So Sean comes out and does what's basically a shoot interview because Brett is not here. He's on the South African tour. Meltzer would recap it and say that Sean said that he and Brett loathe each other in wrestling and in real life. He said Brett didn't just turn bad guy. He's always been a bad guy. A guy who used his parents, his sister, and his kids to get on TV so he could make money. He said if Brett could make a buck, he'd sell his mother. He said 6 years ago when he got the Intercontinental title and Brett was the WWF champ, that he was happy playing second fiddle to Brett, but when it was Brett's turn to play second fiddle, he kicked and scratched every inch of the way. He said Brett took time off because he thought the WWF and Shawn Michaels would collapse while he was gone, but instead they had the best business they'd had in 6 years. And he asked McMahon if this was true, and McMahon agreed because McMahon is in the ring when all this is happening. This is interesting because, first of all, that's, as far as I understand it, not true. Gates and houses with Sean were not better than they'd been in 6 years, but that's splitting hairs. We're telling stories here. But this almost feels like it's not exactly, but this might be the first seed of Mr. McMahon here, is it not?
I mean, Vince being Vince, but
right.
That's all Mr. McMahon was.
But the idea that, hey, he's kind of the boss, we haven't really acknowledged that. We saw a little bit of that right before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know they acknowledged him as the boss. It was still, I think, Vince acting as play-by-play
right
guy here. You know what I mean?
What'd you think of this promo? Brett's not just turned bad guy. He's always been a bad guy. What'd you think of that?
That was a great promo.
I did too.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, when you can sprinkle some truth into that, make people question it. It's got a point there. Best kind.
So as you'll recall, Sid's out. So Austin is inserted into Sid's spot for a match against Mankind on Raw. And he tells Gorilla Monsoon he'll only do it if he gets a match with Bret Hart at the pay-per-view, and Monsoon agrees. Now we're doing that because it was supposed to be Brett versus Sid at the
I'd
paper.
like to point something out.
Yes, please do.
How long ago was this?
1997.
I bet you Steve Austin has still got that same shirt.
I saw it last week on Most Wanted Treasures.
I believe it.
I made that up, but yeah, I mean,
Probably did though.
yeah, he's a saver, huh?
Steve's been very smart with his money.
I meant clothes.
No, I mean, but he's very. I mean, what I mean by that, Steve's got a beautiful place, man, and all this, but he always saved his money. He didn't do extravagant, over the top things. So, Steve wore the same T-shirt till it wears out. Now, difference is Steve will wash it and keep it clean. But yeah,
the difference between him and who? You had somebody in mind when you said that.
A lot of people.
Okay. Come on, give us one name.
I'm sure there are a lot of names.
Oh, you got somebody you don't want to say right now.
No.
Okay. Well, listen, I guess what I wanted to talk about here is it feels as if when we think about Austin, like a lot of people think, man, once he had that match with Brett, he was off to the races. And he was, but that doesn't feel as if it was the original plan. It's supposed to be Sid and Brett. Sid's out. Man, and we talk about this a lot on JR show, that in real sports, in traditional sports, when an injury happens, it creates opportunity for the guy who gets to fill that spot. And
one door closes, another opens.
It worked out wonderfully for Stone Cold here. My goodness. Let's talk about what else is happening here in April. ECW is having their very first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, from the ECW arena. Would that have been a pay-per-view you would have watched live or on tape?
No.
Neither one.
Correct.
Okay. Even when you guys have a relationship and you're sending talent and all that, just no interest.
I don't remember. So I really don't. If we had somebody on it, Howard would probably bring me a tape, tell me about it. I watched their first pay-per-view they ever had.
That's what I'm talking about. This one.
This is it?
Yeah, this is it.
This is the one with Lawler?
No, that was the second one. Lawler and Tommy Dreamer was hardcore heavy.
Yeah, but Lawler came out at the end of this one.
This is where Funk won the title at the very end of this one. Taz and Sabu were involved in this one, if that's what you're thinking.
Is this the one where I told Paul he exposed his business? I think whatever the very first one they ever had, I did watch.
This is it.
And I told Paul, he called me afterwards, and I said, well, Paul, I think you exposed your business tonight. And he said, well, that's a good thing. I said, not in this case. Because up until this point, the ECW show was a compilation show.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And you never saw matches.
Right.
You saw highlights.
Right.
And he said, so no, it's a good thing. I said, no, this one's a bad thing. I said, Jesus, because some of those, look, I defy anybody to go back and watch it with an optimistic eye, with reality glasses on. Okay, not oh my God, no, go watch it with reality glasses on, and tell me that was a great show, because it wasn't. It was terrible. It was a lot of guys just were exposed because people had never seen them before. In a lot of respects, I hadn't seen some of them before.
Right.
I'd seen the highlights. Highlights are great. And again, that's where I credit Paul Heyman's genius. He was able to get the absolute most out of anybody he had. And in this situation, he allowed them to go out and work for 20 minutes when they should have been out there for 8.
Hey man, can I brag about one of our favorite sponsors? I'm talking about Soul, and I've absolutely loved their out of office THC gummies for a long, long time, but they've got something new now, mood gummies. Lately, I've been more mindful about how I want to feel when I'm socializing or winding down or just living life. Instead of defaulting to a drink and hoping for the best, I've been choosing Soul's new mood gummies. Whether you need a little spark to go out or maybe to settle down at night, they've got perfect options to make you feel just right. They say balance is the key to life. Well, I got to say that Soul has nailed these new mood gummies. If you need a pick me up or a wind me down or something in between, they got you covered. And if you're anything like me, your day and night routines, well, they're not always routine. Whether you find yourself doom scrolling, keeping up, or hangovers are keeping you down, bad habits can throw off your rhythm. And something I found out is that I can balance my bad habits with Soul's mood gummies. By the way, Soul is a wellness brand that makes delicious hemp derived CBD and THC products designed to make feeling good simple. Soul's new mood gummies have precise dosing, clean ingredients, and formulations designed for predictable effects. So you can choose how you want to feel while still staying in control. And I have to admit, with other products in the past, that has been a stumbling block for some of my family members. They didn't know exactly what to expect. And I think Soul has nailed it. They label everything very clearly. So if you're in the mood for this, you know what to take. You're in the mood for that, you know what to take. So if you're looking for like that bright, social, and energizing buzz, man, go with the Uplift gummies. That'll give you 3 milligrams of sativa THC plus CBG. That's perfect for your daytime plans or beating that afternoon slump. Now, when it's time to wind down, the Mellow gummies deliver 3 milligrams of indica THC plus CBN. And that's ideal for cozy nights and fully unplugging. And if you're looking for that just right anytime vibe, can I recommend Soul's Balance gummies? That's going to blend 3 milligrams of hybrid THC and CBD for an easy but versatile feel, perfect when you're listening to your favorite podcast, which of course is Something to Wrestle. These are 3 moods, 3 intentionally crafted formulas with the same great taste. Whatever the moment, there's a Soul mood gummy to match. Make today a good day. Get yourself some Soul gummies. And right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. That's right. Go right now to getsoul.com and use the promo code WRESTLE. That's GETSOUL.com. And the promo code WRESTLE will get you 30% off.
Let's run through the card. I appreciate that you pointed out that, you know, these guys couldn't work a lick. So let's run through it. Louis Napoli wrestled Balls Mahoney. They were both in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Kronos.
Yeah, tell me how many matches that actually either one of them ever had more than 7 or 8 minutes.
Saturn was in the WWE. The Dudley Boys, both in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Van Dam and Lance Storm, both in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
The 6-man tag, well, that became Kai and Ty. They were all in the WWE. Shane Douglas was in the WWE. Taz and Sabu, both in the WWE.
Wasn't it?
Terry Funk.
Shane wasn't in before. Shane wasn't in after this.
He wasn't in after. No, he was before. Terry Funk, Sandman, and Stevie Richards, and Blue Meanie, and Nova, they're all in the WWE.
How'd they do? Except for Terry Funk.
My point is, almost everyone on the whole
Sure, we bought ECW. The fuck?
I just love. Hey, these guys.
First of all, that's I didn't say these guys. I said this fucking goddamn pay-per-view. I said that some of them should not have had. He allowed them to go too long, where it exposed some of these guys couldn't work that kind of match, and they couldn't. And Balls Mahoney and Louis, and I love Louis to death. They couldn't work fucking a 20-minute match. Balls could work a 3-minute match. Was he entertaining? Sure. But come on, be honest. Don't sit there and look at me. Oh, this guy. Sure they were. Steve Austin fucking did a stint in ECW too. A lot of people did.
Bruce, you don't have to get hot about it.
Nah, get hot about it. You fucking look at fucking yeah, shit. A lot of them fucking were. But you go back and watch it. You go back and fucking watch it and tell me if it was a good fucking pay-per-view or not. It wasn't. Everybody was like just, so happy because ECW was on pay-per-view.
It was a celebration of them being on pay-per-view more than
hip, hip, hooray. Yay, they got on pay-per-view. Somebody allowed them on. And maybe hang on, but think about it. Think about when Paul got TV and they said, oh, hey, man, we need to have matches on TV now. And how quickly did that last after that? How quickly did the company stay in business after they got full matches on and putting on, a card? How long did that last?
Not long.
Not long at all.
No.
Not at all. How long did that last when we couldn't use popular music anymore?
I knew you were going to say that because that
Didn't last long, did it?
No.
Yeah.
Once you had to use licensed music and you had to have
Mm-hmm.
a more television friendly presentation, it wasn't the same. Yeah. They lost their way for sure. Let's talk about the war at the time. It's not about WWF and ECW. It's about the WWF and WCW. And the Chicago Sun-Times, back when newspapers were a thing, did a real story about the Monday Night Wars in wrestling. Bischoff said, quote, Vince likes to cry about the deep pockets of Ted Turner and Time Warner, but we're a publicly held company. I can tell you that they have more production staff, better production facilities, and a bigger marketing budget. The difference is they don't have the talent. We do because that's where we spend our money. And McMahon says, if Eric Bischoff says we spend more money in every area except talent, it's a blatant lie. And Bischoff says, we were profitable in 95 and 96. If Vince McMahon says differently, that's a blatant lie. And McMahon says they're willing to overpay for performers who are no longer in their athletic prime. There's no way I could match the exorbitant guaranteed figure of a billionaire willing to throw away his money. Do you think it bothered Eric that Vince always said it's about me versus Ted Turner?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he never acknowledged Eric, really.
Nope.
And that just pissed Eric off, did it not?
But I don't think that Vince, at that time, I don't believe that Vince saw it as Eric. He saw it as Ted. He didn't know Eric. Met him one time. He didn't know who Eric was. To him, it was Ted Turner. There's no beef with Eric. If you go to mainstream media, are they going to know Ted Turner or Eric Bischoff?
Right.
Who would you rather write about?
Ted Turner.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, goodness gracious. Half the crew here is in South Africa. The other half is in the States. They're doing a Raw taping that's going to have matches from both locations. Was this a bit of a pain in the ass where we've got some of our show here domestic, some international, or did you like that presentation?
Hated it.
I didn't think you'd like that.
Absolutely hated it.
Well, I don't think it's just you who hated it. Meltzer would say the sound mixing on the April 14th Raw was worse than the darkest days of WCW. It's weird how Raw was so state of the art to where commentary done live at the building and later in studio was mixed to where nobody even knew the difference. The difference in sound from the commentary done in South Africa by Jim Ross and Honky and the sound from the studio where it was re-voiced over was noticeable and came off as clumsy and like an amateur production. And as I understand it, this is one of those shows that Vince is just furious about. Do you recall this?
Which part?
Just he
South
didn't
Africa?
Yes. The idea that it didn't sound, it didn't feel polished. It felt thrown together.
Because it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. And you're dealing with anytime you're international and you don't have your truck, you don't have your people, you split your assets. And no matter how good your people are, you're still splitting your assets and you're still relying on an international team that doesn't have the same standards and doesn't have a lot of times the same equipment that you have. So it comes off less than. When you put them together where the differences are glaring, that's even worse.
Is this one of the episodes, this particular episode of Raw, where there's some from South Africa, some here in America? It's been said over the years that this is one of the episodes that led to Vince Russo having more power on the writing team. Was that the way you recall this?
No, it was after J.J. Dillon left. And
I knew we started sitting in on meetings.
Oh, yeah. We had definitely, yes, had Vince sit in on meetings. Absolutely. I thought Vince offered good ideas too. I really did.
Let's talk about Neville Meyer. He's going to be the highest ranking person in the history of Titan Sports, not named McMahon, because he was the co-CEO of the company along with Linda McMahon. And he resigns in this era. And Meltzer would say, we never really heard much about him after he was hired. He was supposed to be in charge of taking the business to a quote unquote new level, but nothing changed drastically, and his leaving doesn't even seem to have caused that much of a stir. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Mr. Meyer. What can you tell us about Neville Meyer?
Neville was South African. Wish I could remember the actor's name. It was an older actor that he looked like. But so Neville was a guy that we would have meetings with a lot of people in the company. And Neville would sit in on these meetings, and he would just sit there and not say a word. And most times, whenever I go into a meeting, there's someone there I don't know, I walk over and introduce myself. Not everybody did that. And all he said was, hello. And I said, and you are? And he says, Neville. Said, okay, nice to meet you, Neville. That was it. But not a lot of people introduced themselves to him. He would sit there, never said a word, never was addressed, never was introduced, nothing. And this went on for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I asked Vince, like probably the second week, I said, who is this guy? What's he doing? And Neville was a guy that would go into companies and prepare them for going public. That was his MO. Neville was coming in to observe and to watch, all the aspects of our business. He sat in on every Vince meeting. He sat in Vince's office, whenever he met with anybody. And then he was named CEO of the company. And then, I think we got everything we needed out of Mr. Neville, and he moved on. He was never long for this world anyway. I think there was a part of him kind of in the middle there that I think he thought that he was really in charge when, he was there for other reasons. And I think he did a pretty good job in that regard, preparing the company to go public. And he's the one that lined up Augie and lined up everybody to get us to go public.
Well, he's out of here. And unfortunately, Chief Jay Strongbow and George the Animal Steel are going to see their bookings cut way back here as well. And Meltzer would actually say that George doesn't have any bookings at the present. What was were they just getting old and they had a different view on wrestling and you wanted something new, or why did Vince decide to move away from Chief Jay and George the Animal Steel?
Well, we had an awful lot of producers and we were looking to go with, some younger, different views. Yes. Plus for both Jim and Jay, they couldn't do the kind of travel we were doing anymore. It was just wearing on them. They weren't the best of health and needed the rest.
I see. After Barely Legal takes place, the ECW pay-per-view that you maybe definitely absolutely did watch, the Michinoku Pro Wrestlers, who wowed everyone, wind up taking a meeting at the WWF headquarters. And what do you know? Taka Michinoku, Sho Funaki, Dick to Go. Here they come. And you see a photo if you're over on our YouTube at somethingtowrestle.com. Taka holding up his contract with Vince McMahon, and there you are grinning like a possum. You saw something on that pay-per-view you liked, Bruce. Tell the truth.
Conrad, who do you think paid for that whole group to come in and make that pay-per-view?
The one you didn't watch?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be you?
Not me personally.
Yeah, right. The company, WWF.
Yeah.
I got you.
And who do you think? Now, I will give the devil his due. Paul Heyman is the one who told me about Taka.
Right.
And we were looking at.
You only refer to him that on TV Day, the devil. You just call Paul the devil,
Huh?
just a regular course of business.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so I was having a conversation with the devil, and
Yeah.
I
I
like
got a few of those.
Oh, really? Multiple devils.
Multiple devils.
Wow, that's a lot.
No, I call Paul Happy.
I remember that. Happy Heyman.
Yes, Happy Heyman. But Paul's the one that smartened me up about talking. As a matter of fact, Sasuke wanted to meet with us. So everybody made it so that we were bringing him in. Paul used them, blah, 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 which, again, is fine.
Yeah.
We were helping Paul. We wanted Paul to succeed.
Right.
Victor Quinones was also a big part of that. But it was Heyman who said, "No, man, you don't want Sasuke." Because Sasuke was pushing himself.
Oh, I see.
Big time. And it was Heyman that said, he goes, "No, you don't want Sasuke, you want Taka." And we took Taka.
Sasuke had a cup of coffee, but yeah, Taka's the guy who's going to have some staying power around these parts.
Sasuke had cups of coffee to go.
Like Dick to go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pay-per-view. Hey, before we do, we should remind everybody that this is the era where Vader is asked a question over in Kuwait about whether or not wrestling's real, and it doesn't end well. We covered all of this in our Vader episode in great detail, so it feels silly to just.
Do you remember the largest fine ever levied?
Is that what this was?
Oh, yeah. Vader was fined the largest fine we'd ever fined anyone up until that point.
You remember the amount?
Yeah, I do.
And it was
$30,000.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
And expenses.
Oh, well, the expenses are the part that gets you.
Well, expenses of staying over there and security and everything and getting him out and all that crud.
Hey, man, it's warming up. We're all getting outside, reflecting on how great life is. I don't know. After a long winter, to go outside and feel the warmth and the sun on you, it's like, oh, man, life is good. But then occasionally the stress of the responsibility of taking care of everybody and everything and planning for the future can be overwhelming. That's why I want to recommend you make Policy Genius your tag team partner. Policy Genius will allow you to prioritize your peace of mind because you're going to lock in a great life insurance for your family today. Policy Genius is an online marketplace that allows you to compare quotes from some of America's top insurers, and you can do it side by side for free. Their licensed team will help you get what you need fast so you can get on with your life. You'll easily be able to find what you need. Coverage amounts, prices, terms, no guesswork, just clarity. Policy Genius helps you find your most affordable policy that meets your needs. They answer questions, handle the paperwork, and advocate for you throughout the process. Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found their best policy fit for their needs. So why don't you go protect the life you've built? With Policy Genius, you can see if you could find 20-year life insurance policy starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Head on over to policygenius.com/wrestle to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/wrestle.
So listen, Bruce, we've talked a little bit about WrestleMania 13 on this show, and we know how important WrestleMania is, and we know how important the Royal Rumble is, and we certainly know how important SummerSlam is. But in your house like this is still the era where they're 2-hour shows, and we're not charging as much money, and we're having them every month. Was it hard to get excited for these monthly pay-per-views when we're even saying it's going to be less time and less money, therefore it just feels less important, right?
No.
Okay.
No. It's, once you got into the groove of the monthly events, it just was what it was.
Bret Hart is coming into this show with a knee injury that he aggravated while he was on the overseas tour. And we know that's going to become an issue here in the spring and summer of 1997. This show was not well received by the critics. It gets 47.7% thumbs down in the reader poll, 34.9% thumbs up and 17.4% thumbs in the middle. There's only 6,477 paying fans. It's $87,414, and that might not sound huge, but it's a smaller building, so it's a sellout. So, hey, if it's a sellout, what else can you ask for? Up first,
Oh, we can always do better, damn it.
yeah, I mean, listen, you're going to eventually raise ticket prices. You're going to go from 2 hours to 3 hours for in your house, raise your pay-per-view prices. We're going to get there. We're just not there yet. Opening up, though, we get a 10-minute match with LOD. And
I had to yawn.
You had to yawn?
I'm done now.
With LOD and Owen and Davey?
No.
It gets 3/4 of a star. Brett's going to come in, and Meltzer would say that it was kind of a clumsy finish. He's a little late with his run in. The ref had started a 2 count. He's coming down for 3 when Brett kicks Hawk for the DQ, which is what happened. The problem is the ref had to wait several seconds to start his count, which looks stupid. It is what it is. Timing can't be everything. The man's working on a tweaked knee. Not maybe the best way to start the pay-per-view. And then Doc would interview Owen and Bulldog. And when Doc tells Owen that Austin has arrived, they react in disbelief, like they think that they had done something to stop him from being scheduled to appear. Next up, Savio Vega and Rocky Maivia.
Boy, wait a minute. You ever seen the Austin Idol interview when he couldn't get to the building on time, and by God, he had flat tire, and heels come out and say, "Hey, just because he had 4 flat tires, whoever said I had 4 flat tires, Daddy?"
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I never said I had 4 flat tires, Daddy. Anyway, no one ever said he had 4 flat tires. I don't know what happened to Austin. All of a sudden, come the big cat on that lad, and you better call somebody. Let him know there's something to wrestle with. Bruce Prichard is on live on YouTube right here in living color. I won't have to beat that beard right off of your face, Conrad Thompson.
I love it. Savio Vega is going to wrestle
Dance, Silver, dance.
Savio Vega, of course, WWE superstar, pay-per-view superstar, stole the show this past weekend in Puerto Rico. Don't know what Rocky Maivia is up to these days, but Savio is going to win by countout. So Maivia retains, and we've got Farouk doing color, and he's trying to explain the stipulations for the next pay-per-view, where it's going to be a 3-on-1 deal with Ahmed Johnson. His headset is not working right away, so it's not as smooth as maybe it could have been. Crush is going to be involved, and he's going to throw a heart punch. After the match, Vega and Crush are going to start arguing because Vega was mad about the count out. Farouk gets in the ring, calms him down. They all get the nation to attack Rocky Maivia until Ahmed Johnson shows up with the trusty 2x4 to make the save. 3/4 of a star. Hey, man, we're trying. You see, if you're watching on YouTube right there, Ahmed Johnson had been really over in 95 and 96. We're trying to get it going in 97. It's tough. And we're also trying to get this new guy made here in Rocky Maivia. None of this is really clicking, but Lord, it ain't for a lack of trying.
Yeah. It was the best thing that happened to Rock was the knee injury when he finally has that. But, during this time, you're trying hard, and the audience was just farting all over him. A little difficult.
It's interesting too that, in this match, we see the nation just putting the beat down on Rocky. Mm-hmm. Just a few months from then, hey, if you can't beat him, join him.
There you go.
Doc's in the back. He's going to interview Mark Miro and Sable. Miro said he's going to be back in the summer from his injury, and it's going to be a wild summer. And in the background, Austin walks into the men's room. A ruckus breaks out, and Owen and Bulldog run out of it a minute later with pipes in their hands. Dave Hebner runs out of the bathroom saying Owen and Bulldog just messed up Austin, and Austin needs help. So we're shooting the pay-per-view to feel a little bit more like a TV show. It feels a little Monday Night Raw here, and I kind of like it. Is this
what the hell was Dave doing in the bathroom?
It's a great question. Maybe he was taking a slam.
Yeah. Had to pull his pants up and run out, or what?
How many slams a day you taking these days?
Not enough.
1 slam, 2 slams? You a 3 slam a day guy?
Oh God, no! I wish
1 or 2?
I'd like to be at 1.
Oh, you're not even at 1.
It depends, Conrad. We're getting into bodily functions now, and you know, I mean, with my colitis and everything, it's just that's why I have to drink a lot of water.
And I always knew you were full of shit, but I didn't know literally. Next up, Jesse James and Rockabilly. They're going to go 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Meltzer would say the place died when Billy Gunn came out as Honky's mystery protege. It was a huge letdown. The match had no heat at all. James won with a small package. Honky tried to hit James with his guitar after the match, but James got out of the way. Quarter star. Man, this was just
not real Double J right there. Double J, Jesse James.
It's so fascinating to think where these guys will be in a year. Here they are having a singles match on pay-per-view, just not good, and nobody cares. A year later, man, they are over like Rover. And it's amazing. It's the same 2 guys. It's all in the presentation, isn't it, Bruce?
I think, again, it also, it's in presentation, and it's also in confidence. You know, put someone in that position, and some people rise to the occasion, some don't. They did.
Next up, we see Kevin Kelly. He's going to interview Steve Austin, who seems to be just short of crying, according to Dave Meltzer. Kelly asked a red-faced Austin why he's refusing medical help, and he said he doesn't need any. Gorilla Monsoon said he would buy Austin extra time by putting his match on last on the card. And then we see Lance Wright interviewing the Hart Foundation. Bulldog said he and Owen were celebrating their victory over the Road Warriors in the bathroom when Austin walked in and attacked them for no reason. And Brett said in reference to Austin, the bottom line is, look who's crying now. I like that because we've heard Brett over and over and over be accused of being a crybaby from Steve Austin. So that's kind of fun.
Who in the hell was Lance Wright?
That's what I wanted to ask you. We saw that guy pop up for a cup of coffee in ECW, and he had just a handful of appearances here for you guys. A handsome backstage interviewer, I suppose, but
I don't know.
Yeah. You don't remember that fellow at all, huh?
At all.
Wow, that's fine. Well, next up, it's our world title match. Yes, this is supposed to be the main event, but no, it is not. It's Undertaker.
Well, because Steve got jumped, man. Gorilla Monsoon's doing what only a true good Gorilla commissioner would do, and that is to put his match on last in the evenings so that Steve may have time to recuperate in proper time. Come back later. By God.
Hey, let me ask you this. We have seen The Undertaker as a champion once before, and it was under less than ideal circumstances after he's one of the first guys to beat Hulk Hogan, beats him for the world title. Hulk Hogan controversy we'll talk about another time. But the point is, this is his second bite at the apple, and now, man, he is a made man. He is the godfather of the locker room. He is a legend in the WWE just a handful of years later. But after all these years of service and really carrying the torch for the company, he's got the world title, and it wasn't even the original plan. But he got it. And now his first pay-per-view after, it's named after him. In Your House, Revenge of Taker. He's the champ. He's on the poster. He doesn't get to work the main event. Does he take that personally?
Mankind.
Does he take it personally? He doesn't go on last.
No.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate all the context.
I mean, well, what's there to see? Only people that don't really understand get upset about that. I will never.
I'm not upset about it. I'm asking if he was upset about it.
No. And I answer the question, and then you get pissed off. Go, thanks for the context, because you think that it's like it's a big deal. Oh, if you don't go on last,
I didn't say it was a big deal. I asked if it was a big deal to him, and you said no.
But acting like it should be a big deal because you probably think it's a big deal when it's not a big deal.
I didn't say it was a big deal.
Yeah, you act like it's a big deal, though.
Hey, I got you something. Hang on. There it is.
Okay, well, see, now you're a little butthurt.
A little bit.
I'm okay. Why you gotta be why? Huh?
I don't know. You just like yelling. I wanted to yell something.
I'm not yelling. I'm not yelling at all. Sitting here, I'm on my back, got my hands in my pocket, I'm completely relaxed.
Let's get Amber in there and let her.
Amber's gone. Amber's gone.
Kane
She ain't
gone.
here no more. No, Kane's not here. I'm here all by myself. I'm here with all my friends. I'm alone. They even took my new dog.
Oh, well, that new dog sucks.
Hey, fuck you.
That new dog, you got to work on that.
Oh, no, Bean's awesome, man. She's cool as shit.
Bean, I thought the dog's name was
Fucking don't get me started, man.
I thought it was Fernum Schnavis.
It was Fernum.
Well, why isn't it now?
You know what? I tapped out. That.
Who wins the bread in that household? I'm just saying.
Dude, I don't even get a vote.
Bean? The fuck is a Bean?
She's a good puppy dog.
If Bean was the champ, Bean wouldn't even wrestle the main event.
Dog.
If Bean was the champ, Bean wouldn't wrestle the main event.
Define the main event.
Fernum Schnavitz will go on
Define
last.
the fucking main event. See, you can't even define the main event.
Last.
No. Last match.
I know.
Years and years for years.
Hogan
you
did
don't
it.
fucking understand. Bruno did it. Everyone's done it. Everyone that's a star. You're either a star or you're not.
Your mama did it.
You either can go, my mama's done it, yeah. She's been on last. She's been in the middle, too. Hey, my mama's dead.
Oh, God. Well, so was The Undertaker, and he didn't go on last.
There you go.
Wrestled Mankind for 17 minutes and 26 seconds. It's really
In
good,
the main event.
as you might imagine, largely due to the performance of Mankind, taking some crazy bumps. He does get a pitcher of water from Vince McMahon's desk, breaks it over Undertaker's head, follows with a hard chair shot. It was pretty clear they were going for hardware juice, but Undertaker didn't end up getting cut. There's a big elbow off the middle rope onto the floor. The bandage comes off of Undertaker's face, revealing the ugly scab from the fire angle. We get a couple of pile drivers. There's no ref. This is just great stuff. I mean, when these guys fought, you want to talk about pulling out all the stops, running into the ring steps, going headfirst through tables. I mean, is there anything Mankind wouldn't do in this era?
No, it was great. Absolutely awesome, man. Both of them. The chemistry that they had that could reignite and always feel good. It was a special rivalry that Taker and Mankind had that, again, I don't think has been duplicated.
Great. I mean, the header through the Spanish table, you got to go out of your way to see on this show. There's a big choke slam, and then Undertaker finally wins with the tombstone. But after that, Undertaker is looking for some revenge with Paul Bearer. And eventually, as you might imagine, they're going to try some more fire stuff. The idea is to throw fire at the Undertaker. He sets it up a couple of times. The lighter doesn't work. They blow the spot. The flash paper does wind up going, but it goes at Bear's face. 3 3/4 of a star. If you didn't have the fire piece of business here, this would have been one of their classic matches. It does feel like with that botch.
It was a classic match.
It was a classic match, but that thing afterward, the lighter not cooperating, it takes away from the whole thing, does it not?
It took away from the aftermath, without a doubt. Yes, It certainly did. And that was a sad state of affairs. And sometimes shit happens. I just hate it when it happens like that.
I mean, as crazy as it is, Undertaker's just like, okay, we got to do something. I'll just set Paul Bearer's face on fucking fire. And he does. Go out of your way to watch this one. This is kind of a forgotten great match of theirs. Everybody always talks about SummerSlam and Buried Alive and all that. Go watch this one. And hey, since you're there, stick around for the main event. What goes on last? Steve Austin and Bret Hart go 21 minutes and 9 seconds. Another fantastic match. Unfortunately, maybe not on par with their Survivor Series match, and really nothing could touch WrestleMania. But it's a great match. 3 3/4 stars. They're telling a great story. It ends with a DQ, though, as you might imagine. Bulldog's going to come in, hit Austin with a chair. That's the DQ finish. But Austin's going to keep beating him to the punch with chair shots to the knee and putting the sharpshooter on, and he's going to hold it until Owen and Bulldog come knock him out of the ring. And Bret is selling the knee big time. 3 3/4 of a star. I don't think these guys are capable of having a bad match. Just the chemistry is unbelievable with these guys.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find Brett having a match with a bad match with hardly anybody.
Yeah.
Brett had that talent of if he couldn't get them in the first 10 minutes, he'll take another 10 just to make sure he does. Brett was a beautiful artist in the ring, man.
Not just talking about, because listen, this is a popular thing to discuss online, the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Not in terms of drawing money, not in terms of character or merch sales or tickets, or I'm talking about, just as you like to say, and then that damn bell rang. Where do you rank Brett all time? Is he on the Mount Rushmore? He's got to be, right?
I think of in-ring work, yes.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Well, let's do some fan questions. Eric wants to know, who designed the set with just the in-your-house garage as the entry area? Did you have set designers back then? Who would that have been?
We did. We had an entire creative team who would create those. Back in the day, we didn't have the team like we have now, but it was creative services would draw it up and build it, and that was it. That was the extent of it.
Friend of the show, Ray LeDuc, says, how would you teach up-and-comers to execute a proper fireball?
Dude, first of all, you got to take your time. You got to make sure that shit's dry. Second of all, you need to just have technique and finesse.
I've been told that you don't throw a fireball, you present a fireball. Is that it?
Well, it depends. I could throw one.
Really? Can we get you to throw one on camera soon here on Something to Wrestle?
Can Silva come up here and throw it at him and demonstrate?
Oh, that would be great. I will volunteer that. Yes,
just
sign it. Done deal.
Or I'll just sandpaper his face and we can tell people I did it.
Why did you grit your teeth when you said that?
Because he makes me grit my teeth. I'm just fucking.
All right, folks, real quick, I just want to brag about all the families we've been able to help save money right now at savewithconrad.com. I don't know if you've noticed, but rates are at a 4-year low. So if you've bought or refinanced a property in the last 4 years, you can get a better deal right now. Not only that, I want to talk to you if you're feeling the stress and maybe you're maxed out on your credit cards. Fannie and Freddie have eliminated their minimum credit score. So even if you're behind right now on some of your credit card bills or a car payment, it doesn't mean that you don't qualify. In fact, just last month, Fannie and Freddie doubled down on that and expanded their debt to income ratios. What this means, at least in my 25-year career, this is the first time that Fannie and Freddie have acknowledged the American family is overwhelmed with debt. We need to find a solution for them. They eliminated the minimum credit scores. They said it's okay if you're maxed out and you're overwhelmed with debt. Fannie and Freddie want to help you out, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. So if you're feeling the stress, hey, let's have a conversation at savewithconrad.com. I want you to know you have a friend in the mortgage business. That's me. And there are no application fees. There's not a credit report fee. This is no cost, no obligation. If we can't save you some cash, we won't waste your time. But we're not the bank. We don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. We believe that nobody planned to be in a bunch of debt, but you will need a plan to get out of that debt. What is your plan right now to get out of debt? If you don't have a plan, let's fix that at savewithconrad.com. You're going to be glad you did. Take a look at this 5-star review we got from Johnny P in Columbus, North Carolina. He left it for us this week. He says, Diane was amazing to work with. She is awesome and helped us with every step. First time buyer. How about that? Another 5-star review from this week. Michael P in Tyler, Texas says, overall great communication throughout the process. Last week, we got another one from Andrew in Ravenna, Ohio, who said Diane was extremely helpful and responsive to any questions that arose. We got another question, another quote here from Austin, another 5-star review. He was bragging about not only getting a better deal on his mortgage, but we even helped him save money on his homeowner's insurance. If you're serious about saving money, if you're serious about getting out of debt, you need a plan. And we want to be your mortgage advisor for life at savewithconrad.com. Give us a call toll free at 888-425-0105. We're really there. We'll really answer. Or send me an email with your specific situation. Let's have a personal conversation at conrad@savewithconrad.com. Or just get yourself a quick quote at savewithconrad.com. And how's this for starters? No payments for 2 months. You won't have to make your April or your May payment. You're done until June 1st. Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, savewithconrad.com.
Garrett wants to say the War Memorial Arena in Rochester is a small building. Is it tougher to run a pay-per-view in those smaller arenas compared to, say, an MSG?
Sometimes it's easier because, again, everything's so compact and you're not running all over the place to do things. But Rochester was an old building too, and it had its own set of challenges.
Ben says, do you remember what the plan would have been for Steve Austin on this show had Sid stuck around to wrestle Bret Hart? And would Sid and Bret have had the main event slot on the show?
Well, I don't know, but I think that Steve was going to be involved in that Bret match regardless. Just coming off of their WrestleMania.
Right. So
match.
even if it starts with Sid and Bret, Austin's there from a story standpoint.
Yeah.
Stefan wants to know, where does this rank in Bruce's top 5 in your house pay-per-views?
Yep. Sure does.
Just Chris says, since you were stuck with It's Time because Vader was going to be champ according to the plan, that would have been December of 96 is in your house. How did you get Revenge of the Taker in there so quickly when Bret and Shawn was the original plan for the main event only a month prior?
Who said that was the original plan only a month prior? See, that's where you're reading too many dirt sheets there. Was that Stefan?
It changed in February, right? You knew in February that you were going to have to go with Taker.
I knew
Shawn lost his smile. Yeah, that's February. Yeah. Ruben has a fun one. We haven't done this in a while. What would it sound like if Jim Cornette sang Sonny's theme song?
Dude, I couldn't sing Sonny's theme song I have no idea. Motherfucker!
Started with I Know You Want Me.
I know you want me, bitch.
I don't know what.
With my hairy titties.
Wow. She had hairy ones?
No, you said Jim was singing it.
Oh, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next week, Bruce, Judgment Day 2008 will be our
I thought
top.
we were going to ask me Bruce and shit.
You want to next week?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do what you want to do, Bruce.
Fine.
Well, you don't have to talk about it.
Well, you pissed me off.
Hang on. I'm putting you on the spot now. I'm not even going to say next week because we were supposed to do this show last week. So you and I are going to try to record this week's show. It's Wednesday morning as we're recording. Are we going to have
very early, I might add.
Are we going to have a new show on Friday? Please.
You going to ask me anything?
Pretty please.
Are you going to ask me shit?
I will ask you shit. I mean, I think you'd rather do a topic, but I will ask you shit.
What makes you think I'd rather do a topic?
Because you're going to get 182 questions about Bad Bunny and shit like that.
Well, I won't answer them.
I know that. So I'm going to have to filter through until we get to like, what would it sound like if Jim Cornette sang Vader's theme song?
Oh, okay.
By the way,
I don't know the theme song is either. Ed Worthington, the director from Houston Wrestling, I talked to him yesterday.
I was able to get that.
Yeah,
that was nice. How did that go? Tell everybody who that is and what you guys talked about.
Ed Worthington was the director of Houston Wrestling in Houston, Texas. Worked for KHTV, Channel 39 in Houston. And I worked with Ed many, many years in Houston. And he sent a note in somehow, I guess, to Conrad, found Conrad. And Conrad gave me his number because I had 2 numbers on him that were no good. And talked to him for about an hour and a half about all kinds of stuff. About wrestling.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I have an off the beaten path question. I found myself bored with the family last night. We ate some dinner and trying to find something to watch. And somebody said something about, did you ever see Cannonball Run? And as I'm looking for that, I found a movie called Stroker Ace. Do you ever see that?
Can't say I have.
It's a Burt Reynolds movie where Lonnie Anderson plays his love interest, and he is a NASCAR driver, and he is being courted by a potential sponsor, Ned Beatty, who wants him to be the chicken man. So he takes an endorsement and wears all red, and they want him to dress up like a chicken and cluck and call himself the fastest chicken in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a movie from 1983. And a handful of years after this, you too would have a guy dress up in all red and cluck. Any inspiration for the Red Rooster character from the Stroker Ace movie?
Never heard of it. So I have no idea.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for us here on Something to Wrestle. Any last moments or words you want to share with us about 1997's Revenge of the Taker?
97 was a interesting year. That's all I got to say. That's it. That's it. You've already angered me and pissed me off.
We've angered you, we've pissed you off, and we're going to do more of that sooner rather than later because we're doing Ask Bruce Anything right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Rock on.